welcome back to the studio. I am so excited because I have a very special guest with me today. Her name is Regan Farney, and this girl wears a lot of hats. Let me just tell you, she's an incredible electric violinist. She is a singer, a songwriter, and a fab entrepreneur. You should check out her social media because her aesthetic is on point. I'm very jealous. I need all the tips. So if you want to go find her music, first and foremost, it is Regan May _music, May, M-A-E, and Regan is R-E-G-A-N. So Regan May _music. Check it out. You will not be disappointed. Follow her. You'll get all the inspiration. So how are you, first and foremost?
I'm doing great. How are you, Gabriella?
I am fabulous, and I'm so excited to talk to you because I can learn so much about you and your music and your process. So I'm here to learn from you. Teach me all of your fabulous ways.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited. I've been really excited for this interview and just looking forward to it.
Yay. So first, can you kind of tell me a little bit about your musical background? I know we said you're an electric violinist, but what other instruments do you play? All the good details.
Yes. So I started violin when I was 6, so I've been playing for about 16 years now. And then shortly after that, I would say about like 4 years later, I started playing the piano. I don't always advertise that I play the piano because I'm not amazing at it, but I do love.
You have to be.
Yeah. I do love playing around on it sometimes, and it definitely helped me when it came to like sight reading. So I always really recommend that, especially if you start with a stringed instrument. Like going to something like piano is going to help you like visually see like what notes you're playing, and also just like multitasking, playing 2 hands at a time and learning like bass clef and treble clef. So I started doing that about 4 years after that. And then more recently, in recent years, I got into playing the ukulele. And I love ukulele because I was really wanting to work on like, on violin we call them double stops, but it's basically where you're playing 2 strings at once and just like playing chords. And so I wanted to get better at that because I was doing more competitive work in violin. And I thought, I wonder if there's like a smaller stringed instrument I can maybe practice like chords and stuff on. So I thought ukulele would be great because it is so compact and easy to learn, and it would kind of just introduce me into, playing like basic chords. And obviously like the neck of a ukulele is bigger than the violin, so I don't know if it really accomplished what I was going for, but I really enjoyed playing it. And plus just being a musician, picking up more instruments is really exciting. So yeah, that was really fun. And then of course I've been singing like for as long as I can remember, so like just since I was very young. And so when I started doing the ukulele, I did some finger picking things, and it kind of sounded like a harp, which I love harps.
Yes.
But I was like, I've got to start singing, like learning how to sing and play at the same time. So I ended up doing just like starting to do covers on the ukulele and singing along. And let me tell you, it's like you have to really learn how to multitask.
Right.
When you've been used to playing an instrument that you just concentrate and you're not like also using your voice. Mm-hmm. It was a little bit of a learning curve. But it was so fun to just pick that up. And then more recently, I had found this instrument called a tenor guitar, and which is really fun. So basically, yes, it's so tiny. It's so cute. I wanted to start learning to play that because I thought, oh, well, this has steel strings, which is different from an ukulele, but I was told it had like the same finger shapes for the chords, so it would be an easy like transfer from ukulele. Mm-hmm. And tenor guitar is actually like the last 4 strings of a guitar. But I found I tuned mine differently to make it more of a, I guess you could call it a baritone ukulele.
Okay.
But so the chords that you're playing are not the same chords that you play on ukulele. They are the same hand shapes,
Right.
but they're completely different chords. So anyway, you live and you learn. But I really love just the sound of it. It sounds like a guitar, and it's just like a really like baby guitar. It's super cute. Yeah. And then from that, I did pick up guitar a little bit. I've done a little bit of guitar. But I don't know, not a whole lot, just in recent months. But I have an electric guitar that I've kind of played around with, a looping pedal. So it's just fun, just kind of branching out from violin.
That's amazing. I did not know that. That's okay. I can totally picture it though, but that's amazing. Do you have a preferred instrument that you like to songwrite with?
Usually ukulele.
Okay.
I find that it's easier to kind of flesh out just a basic chord progression to go underneath just a tune. I don't have like a specific place that I start. I don't always start with the chords, but I don't always start with the melody. It kind of just depends on the day. Sometimes, like, I don't know what it is about driving in the car, but driving in the car is where I come up with so many song ideas. Okay. And I don't know, I guess it's just because I am focusing on driving. And if I just like turn my music off in the car, then it gives me something to like do with my mind. And so a lot of the time I have started with like a melody, and then picking up the ukulele and then trying to figure out chords to go along with that. So typically it'd be my ukulele.
Okay. So then I know we've kind of talked about this a little bit, but for those who are just listening in and who don't know, Regan is now part of the Own Your Voice Academy family, and I'm very excited. And she is our featured guest on the upcoming workshop next week. So if you're not signed up for it, definitely do. She's a wealth of wisdom, and you'll learn so much from her. So November 21st, go to ownyourvoiceacademy.com, subscribe, all the shameless plugs, and you will find her there. But we had this kind of age-old debate question of, do you start with the melody first? Do you start with the lyrics first? And for you, you kind of said, it depends on the day. So more often than not, would you say, have you ever thought about it? Do you generally, when you go back and look at your music, I started with the melody first there, or I started with the lyrics first, or is it literally just 50-50?
It's honestly, it's about 50-50. I think often I'll start with an idea for like the chorus before I come up with like a verse to go along with it. And it's kind of a toss-up. Like sometimes I'll just be playing around like a song that I wrote called Wait, Which. Hoping to have this recorded and out soon for you all to listen to. But I had started with a tenor guitar part for that, and then kind of built onto it with vocals and figuring out like words that went along with it. But yeah, things like I think often like if I'm driving in the car, I don't know, it is 50-50. But like I said, when I'm driving the car, it's usually like my hands are busy, so I come up with some kind of melody.
That is multitasking at its finest. And is it you're listening to the radio and you get inspired, or do random melodies just come to you?
I would say that I mean, I think we all are inspired by our favorite artists in some kind of way. But I find it's when I turn off the music and just like, I don't know, like some people are just afraid to even start trying. And I used to be one of those people. Like I used to think, no, I don't want to be cheesy. And so I didn't even try. And like, I don't know if I'm the only one who does this. Like maybe there's other people who do this too. But like singing on my own, like I'm literally all by myself. Like, no one's around. It's not like I could be embarrassed by anything. But there are times when I'm just like, that sounded terrible. I'm just going to stop. And I'm like, I'm literally just sitting with myself. You're fine, right?
Right.
But sometimes you just got to get over that. I don't know, that embarrassed feeling of like, ooh, that didn't sound too good. Because that is like, once you get past that point, that's where you can actually start creating something.
Yeah.
Forget about, you know, what other people have written, or, oh man, this just doesn't sound too great. I don't think this would be like a top hit. It doesn't have to be a top hit. It could be just something that gets you launched into writing music.
Right.
And so, yeah, that's just kind of my experience with that.
Yeah. Now, I've talked to my students about this a lot because I think there's this pressure of when you sit down to write a piece of music, you want the final product to be the final product. And that's not really how songwriting works. It evolves over time. How many times would you say your songs have kind of taken on a new life or a new meaning and you've rewritten them?
Right. Honestly, there have been a couple songs that I've started to write and then I completely take them back to scratch. And not to like discourage anybody, but there will be songs that I still have songs that I haven't finished in my phone because I'm like, I don't know, I haven't quite figured out where I'm going with that. So, I mean, it's very common. Like, definitely don't get discouraged because something's not coming together the way you thought it would. Or, like, for instance, one of my favorite artists, Hunter Hayes, he was talking about a song that he wrote a long time ago that he performs all the time, but he still doesn't like it. And, you know, there's a lot of people who love it. And it's a song that I actually really like. But I was watching a live of him recently, and he was just like, I perform it all the time, and I even took it back. Like, we did a kind of an encore in his encore album. They tried to change the instrumentation and rearrange the song, and it's still to the point where he like still doesn't really like it. So, I mean, there's many artists, and you might find that like some of your songs that you're like, I don't know what's wrong with it. I haven't quite decided like if I like that. But then there's gonna be a ton of people who love it. So don't let that like hold you back.
Yeah.
And that's something I have to constantly tell myself, like, you know, like, write it instead of getting caught up in like not exactly what I want. Or, you know, you can always, you know, strip it back to the basics and change a word here or there to kind of like get across a whole new meaning. But
so then how do you know that a song is ready to perform?
I think for my songs, I have some kind of emotional connection to it. Not that like all of your songs have to be so touchy-feely, but there's a point where I play a song and I like get chills, or like I'm reading the lyrics and I'm like, oh, that's so good. And that's something that I like, that I feel ready to show to others, because it speaks to me in more of an emotional level than just like a catchy, oh, that's a good song kind of way.
Right.
But yeah, that's what I find. And honestly, like, sometimes you'll never get that point with a song. Maybe you'll be like, I don't know if this is any good, but it's finished. So I'd say in those moments, just go for it. And then you can even ask someone close to you and ask them what their reaction to it was, or if they connected with it. Because I feel like that's something for my music. I hope to write things that people can connect with in some kind of way. Not just something that is, you know, fun to listen to.
Right.
But anyway, yeah.
So then that kind of segues into the wonderful world of jinglegrams. Can you tell me all about those?
Yeah. Yes. Ah, jinglegrams. So just kind of coming along with that idea of just going for it. I'm actually going to tell a funny story from on how I actually got started writing music. Again, I've been a musician for 16 years, so being a songwriter in the more recent years might sound kind of odd, but it was because I had this hang up of like, oh, I don't think I'll write anything very good, or I'm not good at it. But it wasn't until me and my sister, who is also a musician, their musician friend, Emily, we were like meeting up for lunch one day, and we went to like Mod Pizza, and we had decided, Emily and I had just gotten ukuleles, and we're like, oh my goodness, we know how to play a couple chords. We should get together and just like jam. And so that's what we were planning to do, is just like eat pizza and jam. And so we brought our instruments in. My sister and Emily had just come back from orchestra practice. So we were like meeting up after orchestra. And so my sister had her violin, and then Emily had her viola. And then I had my little ukulele walking in to get pizza. And this worker had said, oh my goodness, are you musicians? Are you going to play for us? You know, like most musicians hear that when they have their instruments out in public with them. And we're just like, haha, yeah. And she's like, no, I'm serious. Like, I don't even care. Like, just write a song, just like sing a song about pizza, and I'll give you free pizza. And I was like, for real? And she was like, yeah. And so us being and maybe me being the perfectionist I am, we like turn to each other and we're like, okay, what about this chord, and this chord? And then we'll just like bring it back to a chorus or something. I don't know. Like, again, I had not really officially written any songs before, but I don't know. It was just like, food is a great motivator. like pizza. So yeah, like, yes. And so we were just like getting really serious about it, and like I started getting that like heart pounding feeling of like, how am I gonna rhyme? And I was thinking, you know, I could just do something super basic. She said she didn't even care. It just had to be about pizza. And I'm like, I could do that, right? It might be kind of goofy. But then she had said, wow, you guys seem really serious about it. Tell you what, just order your pizza. I can tell that you guys are actually going to work on it. And then while you're working on it, we'll make your pizza. And so I was just like, shoot, like we already had like a down payment on this. And so I was like, okay. And so we sat down and collaboratively wrote a song in like 45 minutes. And it was like legit. We had like a little verse, chorus, and then we had like a little interlude, in 3 different instruments. So we're just like, oh, okay. And we, it was like a really simple little jingle, as I would put it. And it was really cute. And they all were super excited about it the whole time. And like we got to the point where we're like, okay, we have this song ready for you all. And so like literally all the workers just like stopped what they were doing, got their phones out, and recorded us singing this little song for them. And it was very nerve-wracking, but it was so fun. And I think like just getting over that hump of writing music, that like helped. It helped to have like 2 other people to do it with and collaborate with, and also like being on like this time crunch of like, oh, I have to like write this like right now. It just kind of pushed me just enough to kind of get out of that slump of like, I can't write a song. So that that moment kind of inspired this idea of jinglegrams, of course, a couple years later. So the pandemic hits, and I'm here as a musician, performer, and it's like, there's not going to be any concerts that I'm going to be playing for anytime soon. We don't really know how long, like, this is going to last. I know for myself, like, I had some wedding gigs lined up for violin that got rescheduled to next year. And so I started thinking, man, it's going to be kind of difficult to stay motivated writing music, and just like not really knowing what's going to happen. But also just like seeing everybody kind of, a lot of people starting to get discouraged. And I'm very much like I just love to encourage people. And so I was just like brainstorming some ways that I could, for one, continue to write music and just practice writing music and have like little projects that could be completed in a short amount of time, because I was just getting stuck with some of my songs. Just, it was a longer process. I was actually at the beginning of the year looking into like getting into the studio and actually recording some of the songs, and that actually kind of fell through too. So I just kind of felt like everything was on pause, and so I was kind of brainstorming some ways to be creative. And so I thought, what if I could write a song, like a little short song like I did at Mod Pizza like a couple years ago, just based off of like 3 things about a person. I don't know why 3 things specifically, but I was like, that sounds like a catchy like marketing tool, but also like challenging. Like, that sounds challenging too. And so I was thinking, okay, well, what if it was a form of like a little encouraging message to send off to a friend? And then I was thinking, I mean, I could write songs about my friends, but how can I get other people involved? And how can I continue like to kind of add that pressure in completing songs instead of just, oh, this is just a hobby I'm doing for myself.
Right.
So that's where jinglegrams kind of came from. And also like just people talking about like small businesses and supporting your small business. And I was thinking, man, I'm just thinking about all the creatives that are struggling right now during this time, to continue to work on their craft. And like a lot of us were out of jobs. So I was wondering how I could not only challenge myself and involve other people, but also give back to other performers or creative artists that were struggling. And so I developed $5 jinglegrams, basically, where I marketed it on my Instagram and basically said like, hey, it's $5 for a jinglegram. You're gonna give me 3 things about a friend that you would love to encourage and their name, and then I'll tag them in a little song that I'm gonna write about them. It'll be about they range pretty much, the average is like 20 to 40 seconds of a song. And so I thought that would be, a good way for me to continue to push myself to finish projects.
Yeah.
And then for every 2 jinglegrams that I made, I donated half of the proceeds to another creative artist. And I thought, at best I could buy a creative a coffee, like just like pick someone in the area and be like, Venmo $5, hey, go grab yourself a coffee, keep going. And because I really didn't know how much this would take off, or if it go anywhere. So I started doing this, and it started off a little slow, and mainly just some of my friends. And then as time went on, I had another friend who had a pretty big platform reach out to me and ask if she could promote my jinglegrams on her page. And then also a couple other people who would repost the videos that I would send to their friend. And so then I just started getting all kinds of jinglegrams flowing in. And it was a little overwhelming because I had like a time limit, and I would be like, you're on a wait list, so it'll be like 2 to 3 days. Yeah. But it was nice because, I mean, I was home. I still had things to do, but I was home, so I could just like have that on my to-do list to knock out like 3 jinglegrams. And it was really fun getting to hear some of the stories of like, or just like the inside jokes of people and their friends. Mm-hmm. And it was really encouraging, like that there was so many people who wanted to spread a little joy to a family member or friends and encourage them as they were studying for a hard test, or they were at home taking care of their mom who was sick, or just things like that. And just hearing about all the stories and getting to be a part of that in encouraging that person. And then when it came like through the course of, and I think this lasted for about a month and a half, that I was really heavily writing jinglegrams. I got to donate to about 4 different local creatives / small business owners, and it was a good chunk of money, like more than I thought that I would literally just be sending them coffee money, but it turned out to be more than that. And so I was just really excited and just thankful for the support that I was receiving, because for me it wasn't about making money. It was more about continuing to just craft music, mm-hmm. and encourage other people. And so it was a really great experience. And I don't think like jinglegrams aren't done for good. I'm not like tying that up, but but yeah, obviously it was big time commitment, so it worked really well for just being quarantined for a while. And so yeah, that it was just a really fun experience.
No, I love that. When I saw that come across your Instagram too, I was like, oh my gosh, how has no one thought of this before? It's amazing. And it's really encouraging for budding songwriters who mm-hmm. are intimidated by the songwriting process, yeah. or who maybe think like, my music is never going to get noticed. I'm yeah. not going to be able to make waves in the community. There's so many people who have done this before me, but no, there's creative ways like that, like jinglegrams, yeah. to be able to get your music out there, to encourage and inspire people, and to make a little bit of money. So yeah. Amazing and really positive. And I love the fact that you donated. I didn't realize that. It's amazing. Who are top 3 inspirations for songwriting for you?
Ooh. Top 3. I'd have to say Tori Kelly. Love that girl. Mm-hmm. So Tori Kelly's one of my favorites. I really love Cave Town. And then this is so hard.
Good.
I'm gonna sound really cheesy by saying my 2 close friends, Savannah Atkinson and Lucy Pritchard. They write super creative stuff, and I feel like just me and my group of friends inspire one another to keep writing, and it's just fun to hear what they're creating. And so yeah, I have to say them. Like, I'm counting them as one because they do some collaborative songs too. But yeah,
that's awesome.
I would say those 3. Yeah.
And that's a good question about collaborative writing. Do you recommend mm-hmm. collaborative writing as a way to get started? Is it more difficult than writing solo? What's your thought on that?
I guess it just depends on what type of person you are. If you know that you're not going to sit down and write a song by yourself, and you bounce better off of people, then definitely start writing with a friend. Like my sister, who is also an inspiration to me, she and my friend Savannah, when they started writing songs, they did it together. And that I think was super helpful for both of them. Mainly Miley is my sister. She had the experience in music and theory and just being a musician, whereas my friend Savannah, she really loves to write and is good with words, and so they kind of just put their talent together, and I think that helped them kind of launch into music writing. For me, I a lot of the time when I and you might need to kind of trial and error when you begin writing music. Maybe you'll start writing by yourself and realize, I cannot do this alone. I need to find somebody. Or maybe you start writing with somebody and realize, I have a lot of my own ideas that I want to elaborate on. I think for me, I do better writing alone. Because I'm always changing, like I said earlier, I'm always like changing things or going back and saying, this is not quite what I want, and changing it. And I think that would be super frustrating for another person, because like I don't want to nitpick at every little thing, especially involving another person. But again, like collaborative projects are super fun, and I feel like they go so much faster, probably because you have two people working together, either one person writing the chords and coming up with chord progressions, or you know, like figuring out different ways that you can say something. Just having other people's experience makes it a faster process.
Right.
But yeah.
Okay. Now, to change gears really quickly, I want to go to more performance side of what you have done. Can you give us a little background on the places that you performed and maybe like where your dream performance would be?
Ooh. So places that I performed. So I've done a lot of, especially my like a couple years back in high school, doing a lot of like orchestral performances, concerto competitions. I won 2 different concerto competitions. I participated in a couple I participated at one in at University, and then I also did some stage shows, some pit orchestra work for Missouri Baptist, which was super fun. Just seeing a different side of like playing orchestral pieces, but playing it to a live show is different. Like still, you have to be very metronomical in how you perform, but also you're like kind of multitasking because you're watching the conductor, but also kind of watching the actors and actresses. I've also, more recently, I just came back from Tennessee. I last year was hired out in Tennessee for a show there called Silver Bow. And it was a variety stage show. So kind of like the shows that you would see in Branson, Missouri, if anyone's familiar with Branson, where they had a crossbow act, and she did a bunch of like crossbow tricks, blindfolded, target shooting, and just like really cool. It was just a really cool show. So then in between her as the main act, we had a music set, and so we had a couple singers and a band, and I was a part of the band, and I was hired specifically as the electric violinist. But I sang some background vocals, and there was a song I got to perform by Lionel Richie. just, yeah, as a solo piece. And so I sang, and then I played a violin solo. So that was really fun. I've also performed at Dollywood for their Christmas in the Smokies show. So that was some pit orchestra work there, but it was super fun. I had a couple little solos in that, and I got to meet a lot of really awesome performers and just great people there. And then I also just kind of like perform around at weddings in the area and special events. So that's kind of my performing. I've done a couple open mics with uke and singing, but I would say a lot of my performance experience comes with playing classical violin or shows and things like that.
Okay, so then how have you kind of used that orchestral background in what you do now?
You know, I feel that in classical and orchestral pieces, there's just a lot of detail work you have to put into learning it, and you learn a lot about the history of a song, and just learning how to take the history that is behind that piece and then perform that way. There's a lot of like emotion that is put into classical pieces specifically that maybe a lot of people don't even know about. So I've learned how to be a very expressive performer through that. Also, the dedication it takes to practice those pieces has given me more of an appreciation for just doing things well and working hard. And I think also it's influenced the way that I write songs. Instead of writing it thinking about like a popular pop song that I've heard on the radio, which a lot of them use a lot of the same chord progressions, same instrumentation. But having kind of an orchestral background has made me like want to incorporate that more into my music. So adding like string parts or brass or percussion. Oh, and I should have mentioned this before. One of my other favorite artists is Cody Fry, and he does a lot of this in his music, just adding a lot of orchestral parts. And he composes the parts, so it just adds kind of this movie feel to music, and it makes it so much more immersive. And I feel like every time I listen to a song that just incorporates an orchestra or kind of like a classical twist, I always feel like I'm watching a movie, or it's so much more, there's more depth to it.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's much more full in the accompaniment. It's very lush.
Yeah.
I love cinematic type music too, so I'm totally on your side on that. It's just always interesting to hear from people who are trained in the more classic techniques and those who aren't, and how they approach music differently. And for me personally, I feel like it has given me such a better handle on theory as well, and being able to understand the technical side of things, to where maybe it makes it a little bit easier to write whenever you have it from that standpoint, because you can see things a little bit more clearly and logically.
Right.
Yeah, so it's an invaluable experience from my side. Yeah. But I know you mentioned, and this is really, really exciting, that you have a mini documentary that is all about your fabulous musical life coming out soon. Where can we find that?
Yes. So I got to work again with one of my close friends, Ricky Ross, and he's just been amazing at he created a music video for me last year, and we've just done a couple projects together. And so it's really exciting to be able to work with him again. So that will be coming out pretty soon, and I will be releasing that on my social media, and then Ricky will also be releasing that on his social media, so that's at Ricky Ross. Yeah, I'm really excited about that. He's been getting more into documentary and like storytelling videos, and so he asked me if I would be one of his subjects, and I'm super excited, super grateful for that. We just got to spend a day kind of just talking about my music writing process, and just like what I do on the daily when it comes to just music and everyday life. And so yeah,
it's exciting. I cannot wait to watch it. So again, your socials are ReganMay_music. Like I said, check it out. If you haven't signed up for her upcoming class on the Academy, do that right this second. You will not be disappointed. And is there any last words that you want to inspire up and coming musicians with?
I think don't get so caught up in pleasing other people with your songs, worrying about if other people are going to like it. Write whatever you want. You don't even have to put yourself into a genre box. If you want to write country one day, then write country, and then another day you want to write R&B, and go for it. And just trial and error. Like, there's nothing wrong with like, I don't know if you can really fail with writing music, but there's nothing wrong with failure. If anything, it just creates just more pathways to success and pieces of music that you actually love. So definitely don't be afraid to fail. So yeah, I think that's all I want to say there.
Perfect.
And also, thank you so much for having me on. I super appreciate you and the work that you do, especially for your students. And you're just so enthusiastic with them, and just very inspiring. So I really appreciate you.
Absolutely. And you have that same passion in you, which makes it so exciting for me to work with you. I'm so excited for all of my students to meet you on the 21st and to get to share all of your knowledge with the world. So again, on your Voice Academy, Regan May Music, check them out. And we will see you very soon. Thank you again so much.
Absolutely.